It's that time of the year again where is Martin Luther King Jr.'s birthday. That time of the year where we celebrate the legacy, the achievements, the vision, the core principles that Dr. King stood for. Unfortunately, it's also that time of the year where there are people who love to praise him and say how much they admire him and love him, who really don't have any of those feelings toward him, nor do they really believe in the principles of diversity and inclusion. And mainly what I'm talking about is here in the last few years, Fox News has kind of led the charge in this, but just not Fox News. There's a lot. They're just regular everyday people in general have been guilty of this. I've had more conversations in the last year or two of people taking Dr. King's name and weaponizing it. Um, and what I mean by weaponizing is usually they evoke Dr. King's name when they are trying to rail against another more current civil rights advocate or someone um, trying to defend civil rights policies or civil rights in general. For instance, I will use an example of Colin Kaepernick. I got into a conversation. It's probably been about 4 or 5 months ago now, where a couple of people got into an argument with me because it was right around the time the Nike ad came out, where they were arguing about um, the whole anthem protest and all that, which I'm not going to get into that specifically, but they were basically saying, well, Martin Luther King stood up for diversity. He was a great man. Well, actually, what they kept saying was Dr. King was a great man. That's what black people should be like. That's a real visionary. And I was like, okay, you do realize that the very thing that Colin Kaepernick is protesting and other NFL players are protesting about, Dr. King specifically mentioned repeatedly and himself led protests about, led marches in the street, led sit-ins about. Well, so you're saying Colin Kaepernick's Martin Luther King? No, I'm not. No. Of course, Colin Kaepernick is not Dr. Martin Luther King. But what I'm saying is they led the same kind of protest. So you're railing against Colin Kaepernick now, but speaking so highly of Dr. King as if you were around back then, or if you are old enough when back then you were supporting him, when you and I both know that's not true. That if you were back around in the 50s and the 60s, you would be likely wholeheartedly against Dr. King, and that was my argument to them. And they kept going on and on and on about how great Dr. King is, and it comes up every year during his birthday, where for 363 days out of the year, or 362 days out of the year, they rail against black people and people of color. They demonize us, they dehumanize us, they stigmatize us, they do the best they can to marginalize us and disenfranchise us, call us murderers and criminals, and then for 2 or 3 days out of the year go on and on and on speaking gloriously about how great Dr. King was, which he was. But what upsets me is that I find it insulting, and I don't dare speak for other people of color and people in general who believe in Dr. King's principles and his vision, but I think I have some agreement with from the many of those people on this. It is infuriating to hear people who literally show an opposition against inclusion and diversity every day of the year, and then when Dr. King's birthday comes around, act like Dr. King. I mean, well, no, they say it. Dr. King inspired me. Dr. King is my hero. Really? Really? And what's funny is these are the same people, many of them, who 15 and 20 years ago were railing against Dr. King's birthday even being a federal holiday. On a high in a higher level, more prominent level, elected officials, people like that, 30 years ago, they're the same people who were fighting it being made a federal holiday. They're the same people who even right now will make snide remarks on Monday about how, oh, I guess the federal workers get another day off. Well, except for the ones who were furloughed, of course. As if Dr. King's birthday is not worthy enough for a federal holiday. But of course, they don't say shit on Columbus Day. Here's all I ask. It's for those people who don't really believe in diversity, for those people who do not really believe in true equality. When I say true equality, I mean equality. I don't mean, well, this kind of equality was, well, of course we're all equal. Oh, we're all God's children, but, some of us are just a little bit better than the rest. You know what I mean. No, I don't know. I know. No, actually, I do know what you mean. And no, you're wrong. No, I mean true equality, true justice, true equality under the law. If you don't believe in that, just keep Dr. King's name out of your mouth. All I'm asking for the next 2 or 3 days, just keep his name out of your mouth. That's all I'm asking. Don't be phony. Don't be fake. Don't be disingenuous. That's all I'm asking, because it's infuriating to those of us who look up to Dr. King as a real, true hero. Those of us who truly appreciate and are immensely, eternally grateful for the things that he and the other civil rights leaders did. Because I'm just going to put this fact out here, and you can get triggered by it or whatever, but this is a fact. When Dr. King was assassinated, his approval rating among white people in this country was 33%. 33. So I don't want to hear how great he was, how great he is, how much people loved him, because people didn't love him. And the problem is, the same people today who will go on and act like Dr. King is one of the greatest men ever walked the earth, are the very same people that would have been a part of that 66, 67% in 1967 that disapproved of him. You know it, I know it. So stop bullshitting about it. Just stop bullshitting about it. Don't front. That's all I ask. Don't front. You know it, I know it, so let's just be real. So, on this Dr. King holiday, we should keep his vision in mind, we should keep his dream in mind, and we should continue to strive toward it. We have made so many advancements, and things don't seem great now, but I want to stress that things are way better now than they were 50 years ago, 40 years ago, or even 30 years ago. The problem is, they're not perfect, and they can get better, and they must get better. So this idea that people have, all like racism is done, racism doesn't exist anymore, at least, reverse racism, yes, but regular racism, no, that's not true. That's not true at all. So, that's it for this video. As always, be much appreciated if you hit that like button, and if you go ahead and hit that subscribe button, please share. Also, visit me on my Patreon page at patreon.com/Rob Beasley. You can also hit me up on any of my social media sites on Twitter, Facebook, or Instagram, all under the moniker RobBase2110. That's ROBBASE 2110. And remember, ignorance is a choice, so be informed, be aware, knowledge is essential, and facts do matter. And happy MLK Day. Till next time, see ya.